It's Saturday night. I've done some shopping. Boy, did I do some shopping. I got no fewer than 6 whiskeys, 2 of which are Japanese. Um, one is American, 2 are Canadian, and 1 is a Scotch. That's what I got. Now, that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'll get to those maybe someday. Some of them are just things that I already had before and talked about on video before, but I liked them so much that I had to get them again. They are namely Eagle Rare, Kentucky Straight Bourbon from Buffalo Trace. The other one was Writer's Tears, a beautiful Irish whiskey, very, very enjoyable. And then the Canadian one that I had before was the Weiser's Legacy. Beautiful rye notes on that one. And the other 3, well, 2 of them are Japanese that I heard that are, at least one of them I know for sure is being discontinued, or has been discontinued, so I still saw some on the shelf and grabbed it. And not that anyone here knows what it is, but that's okay. It was a Nika Pure Malt, I think. The other one was a coffee malt. Not coffee as in the drink coffee, but the still as in the kind of still, the coffee still. And what was the other one that I got? Oh, yeah. A peated Glendronach. That'll be very interesting. But I'll be talking about those a few months from now when I get around to them. I always work on a first in, first out basis. But right tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this little vial that was sent to me by Alex Piron in Winnipeg. This is a 32-year-old Bowmore, and it was distilled in 1968. And it's a 50th anniversary edition, which was released in the year 2000, 2001, something like that, of the Morrison concern that owns Morrison Bowmore, or yeah, something like that. 50th anniversary of their company. So I'm going to pour this right now. And I spilled a drop on my pants. No shame on me. But I didn't lose that much. I'm just careless today. Careless. I'm a total klutz. Gosh, there's a spot on my pants. Oh, that smells delicious already. But you know what I'm going to do? Because it is such an old whiskey, I will let it open up while I talk about something else. Don't worry. This is going to be the Bowmore video right here. Okay, while we wait for that Bowmore to open up, I'm going to do something different here. This is called Port Dundas, 12 years old at 40% alcohol by volume. I will put this. Oh, that has a lovely nose already, that Bowmore. But I'm going to let it open up. I have a Port Dundas here, 12 years old, 40% alcohol by volume. There's a bit of history on this one. I'm going to use it as a whistle wetter, even though I already kind of wet my whistle with a gin and tonic to cool down after carrying all the groceries and stuff up the stairs. Okay, this one here is the Port Dundas. Now, I had looked at Port Dundas online, and there's a bit of interesting history on this one. Port Dundas, there we are. Okay, Port Dundas, an area of Glasgow, Scotland, located 1 mile to the north of the city centre, lies to the north of something. Okay, and so on and so on. I don't know. I think I'm on the wrong. Oh, Port Dundas Grain Distillery. Here we are. The area is the site of a former large Scotch grain distillery which produced 39 million liters of spirit each year on a 21-acre site until being closed in 2010. So this stuff is it's like a Port Ellen in that you can't get it. They don't make it anymore. But they made lots of it in the time that they made it. Originally, there were 2 distilleries in the locality. First was established in 1811 by Daniel McFarlane. 2 years later, the second one was established by Brown, Gourley and Company during 1845. Coffee stills for the manufacture of grain whiskey were installed in both distilleries. Okay. Both distilleries merged in the 1860s and later became part of the Distillers Company in 1877. They were destroyed by fire in 1903, but were rebuilt and reopened in 1913, and rebuilt again in 1916 after being severely damaged by another fire. The distillery was closed for the duration of World War II. A large modernization program was undertaken during the 1970s. New grain intake, split store, still house, boiler house, and dark grains plant were opened. The Port Dundas Grain Distillery and adjacent Dundas Shill Cooperage, which manufactures hogshead casks and dates back to 1770, are currently owned by Diageo, and the distillery's large flue gas stack dominates the skyline of North Glasgow. It produced grain whiskey used in the Johnnie Walker, J&B, Bell's, Black and White, VAT 69, Hagen, White Horse blended whiskey brands owned by Diageo. On the 1st of July 2009, Diageo announced that the closure of the Port Dundas distillery, with all production shifting to the company's other Scottish grain distillery. Anyway, this stuff is a single grain, 12-year-old at 40%, Port Dundas. Actually, I'm smelling. Oh, let's do this right. Corn husks mostly. There are caramel notes. They probably used ex-bourbon barrels. Caramel, grassy, corn husks. Just a tiny little hint of vanilla. Along with the corn husks, there's some hay. It smells like hay in here. In a message that sort of accompanied this, or was it during a live show when I was opening this, Jackass Whiskey and Pinto Beans, who sent me the sample, said, "I don't know why I sent you this." And he said he didn't find anything special about it. There's another bottle for my friend Jack Nicholson. This one's going to contain something special, like maybe some Port Charlotte 10 second edition. Well, yeah, it's got to be special because it has one of these little corks. There we go. Okay. Anyway, that's the history about Port Dundas anyway. So now, apparently I read somewhere else that this was, for a long time, the largest distillery in the world, or the largest grain distillery. At the same time as I'm getting hay and corn husks and a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of caramel. There's a kind of a freshness to this grain whiskey. After all, it has been in the wood for 12 years, and the wood was probably refill casks, and it was probably aged in hogsheads too, which are uh, remade bourbon barrels but larger. They put more staves in to make it a larger barrel. That's what they call a hogshead. Let's give it a taste. Corn whiskey all the way. All the way. But you know, it also has its harsh side to it. It has its bitterness towards the end. And all that means is it's old, tired wood. If this had been aged in a wood that wasn't so much refill, like let's say it was a ex-bourbon barrel but first fill, or even second fill, this would be a lot like Highwood. And it would have more vanilla and more caramel notes and more toffee notes. And it would be a lot better than what it is. But because they used such tired old barrels, I'm guessing now, mind you, but the bitterness and the aftertaste and the bitterness and the aftertaste and the otherwise lackluster flavor could have been a lot nicer. Just saying. But this is a Scotch single grain. Was there something else about this that I had read? No, I think that's about it. I should put a picture of the bottle right about here and give you an idea what it's like, what it looks like. I probably would not be buying this. Single grains don't interest me as much as single malts from Scotland, but if it's a Canadian grain whiskey, it can be quite surprising. I have one example of a Canadian grain whiskey that I thought nothing of when I first opened the bottle. It was harsh, it was rough, it was unrefined, it was just nothing special. But I let that bottle sit open for 3 or 4 months, and occasionally I would always take another pull from it, and I think the bottle's been open for 5 or 6 months now, and it's actually very nice. So grain whiskey can be all right if it's matured in the proper casks. Any whiskey can be all right if it's matured in the proper casks. But if you use tired old wood, you're not going to get those desirable caramel and vanilla notes. and you're going to get a bitter finish. Well, sláinte.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Yeah.